morning, Israel said it is expanding its ground operations in Gaza as it enters its second stage in its war against Hamas. Israeli defense forces are bombarding Hamas from the air, land, and sea with troops, tanks, and aircraft pressing into the Gaza Strip. The Israel Defense Forces says it hit over 600 terror targets in Gaza over the past few days. The intense fighting over the weekend cut off Gaza from the outside world, leaving people with no internet or phone service. While the war continues, so does the humanitarian crisis for the people trapped there, with more than 1 million having been displaced. And bombs have hit as close as 200 feet from one hospital in Gaza City, where thousands of people are sheltering despite Israeli evacuation orders. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke to MSNBC's Jen Psaki yesterday about ongoing talks with Israel and the dilemma Israeli forces face with innocent civilians.
Hamas is holding civilians as human shields, is hiding among the civilian population, which creates an added burden for Israel, but does not lessen the need for Israel to distinguish between terrorists on the one hand and innocent civilians who deserve protection on the other. So those are the kinds of questions that we were posing, the kinds of conversations we were having, and those don't stop simply because we've entered a different phase here.
Meanwhile, Gaza received its largest aid convoy since the war began, but humanitarian workers say more is needed. And families in Israel are still holding out hope for the hostages as talks remain at a standstill this morning over Hamas's demand for fuel deliveries to Gaza and its refusal to guarantee it would release a large number of the hostages. Our team is monitoring the newest developments in the Middle East and here at home, starting with NBC News correspondent Jay Gray, who is in Tel Aviv. Jay, good morning. So tell us, what is the latest at this point with Israel's ground offensive this morning?
Yeah, it's certainly advancing, as you just described, Savannah. And we know that overnight into today, they have moved on more than 600 targets at this point, including weapon depots, command centers, more than a dozen anti-tank installations. They are also working toward targets underground. So that's been a primary focus as well. And not only is the ground force advancing, they are getting help targeting from above. The airstrikes continue, and the Israeli Navy actively involved now with strikes from just along the coast.
Jay, talks to free hostages had stalled on Friday. What's going on behind the scenes here? Walk us through this. Are there any signs that those talks could resume soon?
Yeah, they're certainly not as extensive as they had been before the advance to phase 2 of this war by Israel. We have been told that Hamas says that they can't negotiate while they are slaughtering our people. And so that's made it difficult. We know that Qatari intermediaries are working behind the scenes and still communicating. And we've been told by the White House that they are in constant communication with those negotiators in Qatar as well as Israel, and that the release of the hostages, including the missing Americans, many who may be held right now in Gaza, is a top priority. So that's working, but it's certainly not at the pace or with the hope that we saw before the increased strikes.
Jay, as I just mentioned a moment ago, it's been said that strikes, bombs came as close as 200 feet from one Gaza hospital. This is something up in the north where people had been asked to evacuate, but obviously it's not always possible for patients and things like that in a hospital. And this also happens to be where now about 14,000 people are sheltering. That includes women and children. What do we know about the current situation there this morning at that hospital and the surrounding area in the north of Gaza?
Yeah, very difficult. We've had talks with people inside Gaza who are saying that the strikes are relentless. As far as that hospital is concerned, Al-Quds, there are so many people at the facility, they're actually sleeping outside on the front landing of the hospital. As you talked about, 14,000 or so, not only injured, but those seeking shelter in the area. And the attacks continue. Now, the IDF has said repeatedly that their intelligence shows there are command centers stationed underneath hospitals in Gaza. They have been warned at Al-Quds 8 times now, and IDF has given them ultimatums to leave. But like you said, there are so many who can't. We're not only talking about the patients at this point who can't be transported, but you've also got a lack of fuel. So those who may want to leave don't have the means to do so.
Jay, quickly, before I let you go, I do want to talk about the aid that has been received by Gaza. Largest shipment yesterday, but so much more is needed. And I know President Biden spoke with Netanyahu as well as Egypt's president over the weekend. That's the border where aid is actually passing through. How are they planning to get more aid to the region? And tell us anything else that came out of that conversation.
Yeah, look, they're certainly putting pressure on Israel to allow more aid to roll through. And while it likely won't be fuel, it does look like, and according to some IDF commanders, that they will see an uptick in the number of trucks that are moving through. They desperately need food and water right now inside of Gaza. Other things that were discussed, the president apparently reiterated the idea that Israel has the right and responsibility to protect Israelis against terrorism. So he is defending the right for Israel to continue this attack there. And they talked about the ongoing efforts to locate and secure the hostages, something that everybody seems to be focused on right now.
Absolutely. All right, Jay Gray in Tel Aviv for us. Thank you very much. Let's now bring in NBC News military analyst and Medal of Honor recipient, Colonel Jack Jacobs from our Colonel, thanks as always for joining us. So we know the goal of Israel, as they've stated, is to eliminate the threat of Hamas. Prime Minister Netanyahu said specifically they would, quote, turn Gaza into a deserted island. Walk us through this about how Israel's thinking about the long-term stability of the region by pursuing that type of offensive. And tell us, is it possible to achieve a goal like that without just total devastation to innocent Palestinian civilians?
Well, there are two things to keep in mind. The first is that this operation is almost undoubtedly going to be phased like all military operations. But also because of the nature of Gaza, its built-up area, the fact that there are human shields there, the Hamas is in underground bunkers it's been developing for almost 2 decades, means that they're going to have to isolate individual targets very painstakingly, surround them in some cases, ask that civilians be released, and then move on to the next target. Ultimately, this is going to take a very long period of time just in Gaza City alone. Second, what happens if, as and when, Hamas is eliminated, at least for the time being, and Israel occupies Gaza? Well, Israel is not going to do it by itself. It had tried it before and then left. It is something in which all of the Arab nations in and around the area are going to have to participate. And negotiations are taking place right now by the United States, by the Israelis, and by others, including our allies and their allies elsewhere, to determine how some sort of coalition can be forged in order to do that, because Israel is not going to stay there. Once it takes care of Hamas, it's going to leave, but it doesn't want Hamas to return, but it can't do it itself. It won't do it itself. And as a result, diplomacy is going to be very, very important here, Savannah.
Colonel, Israel's defense minister called for what they are calling a new security regime in the Gaza Strip, because, of course, it's important to keep in mind that while Hamas, as we recognize it as this terrorist organization, is also the political party in power in Palestine. So what does it take to achieve a goal like that, especially when many Palestinians do see them as their legitimate leadership?
Well, it's extremely difficult to do that. It's going to have to be forced on them by other powers, the ones that I mentioned, those in the region. But in addition to that, physical security is very important, both for the Gazans on the one hand and for the Israelis on the other. This may mean the creation of a demilitarized zone of the type that we see between North and South Korea, and that, too, is going to have to be administered by outside powers. The United Nations, which has been very ineffective in the region and generally, is also going to have to participate here, and it won't do that unless it has a preponderance of support from outside organizations and from its member countries. As a result, some kind of security will have to be forged, both for the Israelis and for the Gazans, Savannah.
All right, Colonel Jack Jacobs, thank you very much. As always, we appreciate your expertise.
Sure.
Well, Florida Governor and Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis is defending his call to ban pro-Palestinian groups from state colleges. Meet the Press moderator Kristen Walker discussed this with Governor DeSantis over the weekend.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke with Republican presidential candidate and governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Here's what he had to say. Let me ask you about some of the statements that you have made recently about those protesters. This week, you called for the banning of pro-Palestinian groups from Florida state colleges. Your Republican challenger, Vivek Ramaswamy, says that violates the First Amendment rights of these students. He writes, quote, "It's a shameful political ploy. It's unconstitutional. It's utter hypocrisy for someone who railed against left-wing cancel culture." What is your response to Mr. Ramaswamy?
This is not cancel culture. This group, they themselves said in the aftermath of the Hamas attack that they don't just stand in solidarity, that they are part of this Hamas movement. And so, yeah, you have a right to go out and demonstrate, but you can't provide material support to terrorism. They've linked themselves to Hamas, and so we absolutely decertified them. They should not get 1 red cent of taxpayer dollars. And we also have strong laws in Florida against fundraising for groups like Hamas, and we are enforcing those vigorously. It's not a First Amendment issue. That's a material support to terrorism issue.
Yeah, just to be clear, you're citing the Florida law that says one cannot give material aid or resources to a terrorist organization. Do you have any support that they're actually doing that?
Their own words are saying they're part of this organization, that they don't just stand in solidarity, that they don't just support what they did, but that this is their movement too. So once you hitch your wagon to a group like Hamas, that takes you out of the realm of normal activity, and that's something that we're going to take action against. So we believe we're totally justified within the law, and I think things like this have been litigated time and again.
You can see my full interview and a lot more at meetthepress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you so much. Well, former Vice President Mike Pence has suspended his bid for the White House. Pence made the unexpected announcement Saturday during the annual Republican Jewish Coalition convention in Las Vegas. Pence struggled to gain traction in the crowded primary field and failed to get enough donors to participate in the third debate. His latest campaign finance filing shows the campaign is $600,000 in debt and only has $1.2 million in cash on hand. Now let's get to the latest on Capitol Hill, where the House of Representatives will be back in session today and with a brand new speaker. But with the threat of a possible government shutdown just weeks away and House Republicans seemingly as divided as ever, will they be able to get anything done? NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale joins us now with a preview. Hey, Ali, good morning. So what are you hearing at this point from Republican lawmakers? Are they confident new Speaker Mike Johnson, took a while to get to him, will be able to avert a government shutdown and pass legislation with such a narrow majority?
Yeah, look, they're about to test the theory that we heard about in Hamilton, the musical, Savannah, which is winning was easy, young man, but governing's harder. Now we're going to see if Mike Johnson actually has the task of governing ahead of them and what that actually means. I think in my conversations with Republican lawmakers, I have been stunned by the number of them who were thorns in the side of Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who are now more than happy to give some leeway and some adjustment time to now Speaker Johnson. That's a pretty stunning shift, and it's frankly one that's going to work in his favor, especially as they get into town this week. They'll start tackling the business of what it is to legislate around the Israel crisis. We expect them to move, for example, on a package of Israel-focused aid to the tune of more than $14 billion. That aid is decoupled from Ukraine aid. Now, that's something that the White House didn't want to see happen. They wanted to see those two packages move together. Nevertheless, there is big bipartisan support for supporting Israel right now. You got to imagine that's going to be one of the quote unquote easier things for this new speaker to do. But then, of course, there's still the business of spending legislations. And then there's a few personal politicking fights, if you will, on the House floor right now, some censure resolutions and one expulsion resolution for Congressman George Santos. All of this sort of swirling in the pot as Johnson takes on the job.
So, Ali, after this, contentious speaker election going through several candidates, House Republicans did gather for an all-member conference call last night. Tell us about that. Do you know what was discussed?
Well, look, the focus of that call is, unsurprisingly, the aid that will be worked on this week to go to Israel, again, to the tune of $14 billion. This has sort of long been discussed and was very much looming in the background of those multiple weeks of infighting that it took for Republicans to actually elect the next person who would lead them. Now, of course, Johnson has to actually do that business. Again, I think it's going to be pretty bipartisan in fashion. What's actually going to be more difficult for him, I think, are the internal trials and tribulations of of Congress right now. For example, you have New York Republican members once again bringing up a resolution to expel George Santos from Congress. That's going to be a big move, especially because we saw Speaker McCarthy try to slow walk that, say it should be an internal ethics investigation, and also the courts should do their job. We know that those investigations are ongoing and have been moving apace regarding Congressman Santos. But when it comes to expelling him, the reason McCarthy was slow walking it is because we already know how tight this majority is. Losing Santos makes it one tighter. It brings the majority to you can only lose 3 as opposed to you can only lose 4 most likely on most of these bills. And that's why we might see Johnson, or we'll see if he actually goes along with this. But it's going to be another really thorny issue that has nothing to do with the geopolitical landscape this week.
Right, absolutely. Also important to note that this is different than that broader aid package that President Biden had called for that included Ukraine.
Exactly.
That could end up also coming up again. All right, Ali Vitale, thank you so much. See you soon. Well, tributes continue to pour in for actor Matthew Perry. The longtime Friends star died on Saturday in an apparent drowning in a hot tub at his Los Angeles home. There's still no word yet on the cause of death. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas has the details.
I left a message. I have some pride.
Do you?
No.
Fans paying tribute to Matthew Perry, best known for his beloved role as Chandler Bing on the 90s hit sitcom Friends.
Could I be more sorry?
The 54-year-old found dead at his L.A. home on Saturday. Authorities say he appeared to have drowned.
You have to stop the Q-tip when there's resistance.
With a dry and self-deprecating wit, Perry helped transform Friends into a 90s cultural touchstone. The show running 10 seasons, Perry starring in all 234 episodes.
So how many cameras are actually on you?
Perry would go on to star in a string of hit films like The Whole 9 Yards and Fools Rush In.
Chewie, hi. Luke Skywalker.
But off-screen, he struggled, battling years-long addictions to drugs and alcohol.
To me, I felt like I was going to die if they didn't laugh.
The actor said he went to rehab 15 times, detox 65 times. Perry detailing his decades-long battle in a 2022 memoir titled Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. In an interview with ABC's Diane Sawyer at the time, he said he found it hard to rewatch old episodes of his most famous show.
I feel sorry for that guy. Because that's a guy that's out of control.
Tributes pouring in for the 90s TV icon who made us laugh, but struggled with his own demons. A statement posted to the official Friends Instagram account reading, "He was a true gift to us all. Our heart goes out to his family, loved ones, and all of his fans."
Oh, just heartbreaking. Our thanks to Chloe Malas for that report. And authorities have said Perry's autopsy results are inconclusive pending a toxicology report. Let's bring in entertainment journalist, pop culture expert, and of course, friend of the show, Brian Balthazar, for a closer look at Matthew Perry's life. Brian, good morning. Thanks very much for joining us on this just such a sad one. At first, let's just talk through the role, Chandler Bing, Friends, kind of just how he fit into that group, what it meant to the show, and what you think the legacy of that character is that, of course, he's so associated with.
Yeah, I mean, this is a sad one for all of us. I think, you know, what's so interesting about this is sitcoms can often have silly characters, unusual situations. And Matthew Perry's character of Chandler was really kind of the voice of reason, the voice of us, the viewer, sort of the Greek chorus, if you will, able to call his characters out in an affectionate way that made us all laugh, you know, acknowledging some of the things that you don't normally on a sitcom that made him kind of the voice of the show in a lot of ways. And I think it was season 6 when they were all sitting in that coffee shop and they all kind of acknowledged, wait, shouldn't we all be at work? And Chandler's like, yeah, maybe we should all be at work. You know, these kind of moments that we all really connected with. And the irony, of course, here is that here we have someone who provided such joy and laughter, but was in fact very much a tortured soul. But people will study this show and its impact on pop culture for years. They have, and they will continue to for years.
Oh my gosh, really, it just is incredible when you just think about the impact of it, think about what it means. When you hear, even just hearing, you know, the theme song, the opening music, it's like you're immediately transported. Brian, we know, of course, that is a role that he will totally be remembered for. But I think maybe what he was most proud of were his efforts to help others overcome addiction, something that he had struggled with. First, let's listen to a little bit of something he recently said in an interview.
is if somebody comes up to me and says, I can't stop drinking, can you help me? I can say yes and follow up and do it. I've said this for a long time. When I die, I don't want friends to be the first thing that's mentioned. I want that to be the first thing that's mentioned. And I'm going to live the rest of my life proving that.
What can you tell us about his efforts here? And specifically, he did have this facility, Perry House. He had founded this to help other people. Tell us about that.
Right. He took one of his former residences in Malibu and transformed it into a sober living facility for men. And he kept that going until 2015, until they downsized a little bit. But he was recognized by the White House. But I honestly think one of the more powerful things, obviously, that's a wonderful thing to have. But one of the most powerful things you can do when you're going through something like this is to share your story, warts and all. You know, I think, especially when we look back on someone's life like his right now, we want to remember all the wonderful things. But his book was a great way for him to show people that all is not what it seemed. And if one person, or hopefully many people, can connect with those powerful stories and say, this is my time to get help or to get someone help. In the book, you know, there's an opening line where he says, my name is Matthew, although many know me by another name. My friends call me Maddie, and I should be dead. And, you know, it's a powerful thing to say, but it's hard to ignore when over the course of his life, he suffered from pneumonia, a ruptured colon, a 2-week coma, more than 12 stomach surgeries. And he then calculated that he spent more than $7 million and half of his life in either sober living or treatment facilities trying to help himself, trying to save himself. And that's a really powerful way to get that message out there, to try and get people to try and take steps to save themselves or others.
Yeah, so important that he came forward in that way and made so many people feel so much less alone, maybe saving lives. Brian Balthazar, thank you very much. Great to have you with us this morning. Well, rain, colder temperatures, even some snow could be in store this week for parts of the country. For more, let's take a look at your morning news now weather with Michelle Grossman, who's here in studio with us. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, it's really chilly in a lot of spots. We're looking at temperatures in the teens. You factor in the winds, it feels like the single digits. That's going to be over the next couple of days. We have a very powerful cold front that's moving through. It's bringing the chance for those temperatures, but also bringing the chance for some rain, some snow, and some really gusty winds. So 88 million people impacted by frost or freeze alerts this morning. So many people under freeze warnings. That's in the hot pink color. So stretching from the southwest into the south central states, the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, into the northeast. A big part of the country feeling really chilly this morning, but not everybody. So here's that cold front. Back behind it, we're looking at that cold Canadian air coming in. That's dropping those temperatures. So we're feeling like the teens this morning in some spots, feeling like the single digits, and not going very far as we head throughout the afternoon. So temperatures 20s, 30s, 40s behind this cold front, 37 in Denver today. That's going to be your high temperature. It's 21 degrees below what is typical for this time of year. 30s in Minneapolis. We're looking at 50s, just 50 degrees in Dallas, 40s in Detroit, also in portions of the Great Lakes. But notice this cold front. Here's that dividing line. So ahead of this cold front, we're still really warm. Temperatures well above normal. D.C. today near 80 degrees. We're looking at 80s in Raleigh, Savannah, Panama City. But don't get used to it, because as we go throughout time here, that cold front's going to sink to the south, to the east. It's going to sweep in that cooler air. So by tomorrow, Philadelphia 55. That's going to be 6 degrees below normal. So cool day there, but still lots of 30s and 40s on the map back behind this cold front. Sioux Falls, we're looking at 33. That's 18 degrees below what they expect for this time of year. There's that cold front. You can clearly see where it is, bringing those showers. And some of these showers are moderate. They're heavy. If we're not seeing the showers falling, we're seeing the drizzle, we're seeing the clouds. So this is a very Monday forecast from the south central states into portions of the northeast. And notice this blue here. That's that cold air interacting with the moisture. And that's where we're seeing a wintry mix. We're also seeing some snow in spots. A long line of rain throughout the day today. This is going to move off to the east, so we're going to start to see the showers dissipating. It's going to move off with the cold front, but still seeing a lot of those showers sticking around throughout most of the day. Then a clipper system comes through tomorrow through the Great Lakes. That's going to reinforce the cold air. It's going to reinforce some snow in portions of the Great Lakes. So as we go throughout time here, I think this rainfall forecast is sort of underdoing it, but just notice where that green is. It's along that cold front from Texas all the way to the northeast. So we're looking at not a whole lot of rain, but still enough rain where you're going to need the umbrellas, the heavier coats as you head out this morning. And we are also looking at that snow, the pinks, the purples, parts of the UP and Michigan. Also northern Maine, we're looking at possibly 6 inches or more. So certainly feeling like winter in some spots. On the West Coast, we have a big area of high pressure that is bringing some really gusty winds. We could see winds gusting up to 75 miles per hour. That's the Santa Ana winds. In addition to that dry air, really dry vegetation, that's fuel for some of these winds and wildfires. We are concerned for a wildfire risk. So we do have red flag warnings. We have wind advisories, high wind warnings, 16 million people at risk throughout the Southwest. That was yesterday, also through today. And then today we're looking at that Arctic chill really taking hold across the country. That's really the big story for today.
Yeah, oof, and some snow in this morning here. Ugh, rainy,
it's just gross. Right?
Ugh.
Like you want to get back into bed.
Yes, especially at the hours that we have to get up.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle Grossman, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.